Welcome to the Never a Phase podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Stiles. And before we get started on today's episode with Gold Steps, I want to get some of the business out of the way. Today's episode is brought to you by Eargasm Earplugs. Eargasm produce high-fidelity earplugs which reduce noise up to 21 decibels while maintaining audio clarity, so you can still hear everything around you. They're perfect for concerts, festivals, and any other loud environment where you want to protect those ears. So if you want to protect those ears without missing a thing, perfect audio clarity, get yours today at eargasm.com and use code EMO10 to save 10%. Also, this show is a part of the Never a Phase Network, a collective of creators dedicated to keeping the spirit of the scene alive. Our network of creators makes social media content, they share news and reviews, and of course, we bring you great podcasts. For information about Never a Phase Network, visit neveraphasenetwork.com and follow the Never a Phase Network on Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube. Please check out all of the shows on the Never a Phase Network. All right, let's start this one. My guest tonight is coming off an amazing late summer here into the fall and winter, recently opening up for artists like The Used, opening up for Hit the Lights, and becoming the premier pop-punk band, in my opinion, out of the Milwaukee scene. She fronts a band that at one time was of the Alt Press's 13 bands that are reclaiming the pop-punk music scene. That was in 2021. Since receiving that moniker, they've released an album, 2022's That Ain't It, which is just legit banger after banger after banger. And you've also released a string of singles, most recently songs like Beautiful Mess and Rent Free. Your lyrics are blunt, they are confessional, they're a little snarky sometimes, but they always deliver. Please welcome, they call her Petty, Unsteady. This is Betty MAURITZ of Gold Steps. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. We have gone circles on social media for like a couple years now. In fact, I'm wearing my one of one Gold Steps hoodie today that has, I wear you on my back pretty regularly now that I think about it. And so we have connected a few times, but I wanted to get a chance to pick your brain here and really talk about your history of the scene and where you guys are going. And so I guess, do you want to start from the beginning?
Try to keep it brief about the beginning, but in 2016, I had joined a previous band I was in another band. I started dating the guitarist.
As you do. No.
It happens. And the drummer didn't like that, and he had co-founded that band, so he kind of was like pushing us away. So Zach, the guitarist in question, and I were like, well, we're just going to go start our own thing. We are the main songwriters and we vibe really well together. So well, in fact, that we're married now for 8 years.
Worked out.
So that was 2016. We started Gold Steps, and here we are almost 10 years later, and we've moved across the country, survived that, have rebuilt this band with new people in Wisconsin. And every year I keep wondering when it's all going to come falling down, and it turns out that we just keep persisting regardless of what gets thrown our way. We just keep on keeping on. So that is the shortest I think I've ever introduced the history of our band.
Well, I'm going to ask a couple things then about your start before we get into like what's been going on recently. You already mentioned, so you guys were in Texas, right?
Austin.
And Austin, Texas, packed up to Wisconsin, and that was after doing Gold Steps, right? That was not the original band. That was Gold Steps.
That was Gold Steps. So we moved up here in 2019. So we were in Austin as a band for about 3.5 years, and then moved up, maybe 3.25 years, and then moved up to Wisconsin because I'm originally from the Milwaukee area, and Texas is too damn hot. I did everything that I needed to do in Texas, and I wanted to come home.
Certainly not a problem you run into in Milwaukee as much. Too damn hot, especially. I don't know. Did you guys get the terrible winds recently and all the cold and all that? Because
oh my gosh, we played a show on Wednesday night, and that was the worst. Loading up of the vehicle, loading into the venue, loading out of the venue, and then back into our house that I've ever experienced. I curse a lot. That was the first time I've like cursed the earth, I think.
I just want to know, what was that move like, especially a city like Austin that is known for being a little more, I don't know, weird, eclectic, maybe scene friendly, certainly music friendly. Now you're, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Midwest, and you guys seem to be crushing it, finding all these places to play, bands to connect with. But what was that transition like when it first happened?
So Austin was unique because it actually had a really solid pop punk community when we started Gold Steps. We would go to shows like multiple nights a week. We made a lot of friends, and there's this tight knit community. And unfortunately, after one of the main members of that community passed away from cancer,
Mm,
it kind of changed things. Like the scene wasn't as close as it used to be. We all kind of drifted apart. It started to feel like those of us who were kind of like really going for it, there felt like there was sometimes unfriendly competition. And I think we
mm,
also just got burned out by Austin itself. It was becoming more of the Silicon Valley of the South. And I mean, it had gentrified and changed quite a bit before I even moved there. But in the 5 years I was there, I want to say it definitely changed even more. And oh my God, it was just crowded. I hate being in traffic. Like, Milwaukee traffic is a joke. Like, it's like, "Oh my god, I had to wait at a light for 10 seconds longer than I normally do." That's traffic for you. Like, there's construction and stuff, but Austin was on another level. We literally lived, like, not even 10 miles from downtown, and it would take us an hour to get to, like, a venue from our house. It was
oh,
ridiculous.
wow.
And there's just I don't know. I love Wisconsin and I love the seasons. I love fall. I actually don't mind snow in theory. I'm sure tomorrow when I'm shoveling 8 inches of it, I'm going to be a little less excited about the snow, but I, it just was not a place for me anymore. I had outgrown
Yeah.
what I felt like I could do there. And I feel like the Midwest is uniquely challenged because nobody thinks about it, right? They think about Chicago maybe, but I think a lot of people even underestimate Chicago and what a huge city of opportunities that it is. So, Milwaukee's where my family is. We're an hour from Chicago. I've got all the opportunity I could want right here.
That's awesome. And you mentioned like the traffic and stuff. Midwest, we love our wide open spaces. I don't know if I could handle an hour traffic just to get downtown. That would mess me up. So,
Right.
um,
And I like being able to like screw off to the forest for, a weekend to go camping or just like get away from people. Even the busiest parts of Milwaukee are not packed like anything I
right.
experienced in Texas.
Hmm. That's funny that you mentioned that too, because I think I talked about friends about this, about like Nashville specifically, but like for musicians, you're looking for that spot that is the hub. It's where the producers are, it's where the writers are and things like that. Austin obviously has some of that going on, but that also means that like everybody you encounter, like you said, everyone you encounter is trying to do the same thing you are. And so the idea of we're doing this together, I think becomes a little harder when literally everyone is trying to do the same thing. And I also, I live in Ohio, so I can say I also think Midwest spirit of just cooperation is more of a thing. I don't know if I could handle a cutthroat environment where people are like singularly focused. That's just not how I'm wired. So
Yeah. And don't get me
yeah,
wrong, I mean, everybody there's been a lot of moments in both communities where I was like, "Oh man, I feel like people don't like us or something," but I think that's just my own paranoia. Because we've never like given anybody a reason to be like, "Oh, fuck gold steps." But I mean, I guess if they feel that way about us, it's okay. I'm probably not going to be able to do anything to change your mind. So I'm just going to keep on doing what I need to do to make my band successful. We don't purposefully step on people or like, I believe truly that if the scene has multiple bands that are getting noticed, it's just better for the community because all of a sudden you'll have people coming to Milwaukee to be like, this feels like a new hotbed of pop punk or indie rock or whatever it is. And by virtue, they'll start looking for other bands in that area. That was at least some of the mentality that Austin used to have. It felt like for a minute we were like the new Chicago as far as like pop punk went. And then we all started to splinter off and the scene kind of died out. I don't know what's left. I don't talk to a lot of people from there anymore.
Mm. And you mentioned Chicago. That's exactly what I was thinking. Is I think when I was playing music and stuff like that, it was just 20 years ago. I'm old, but like every band from Chicago, it felt like got picked up and signed, and Fueled by Ramen was picking up everybody. And so if you can create those hotbeds, one band makes it, and then you know who we want to open for us, or you know who we want to take out on tour, or you know who the punk kid down the street or whatever. Like all kinds of connections are made like that. I think, I mean, for me, I'm about building scenes, and I think that's the better way to do it. Certainly.
So we're really good friends with a couple of bands in Chicago, but most notably When the Sun Sets. They're like my favorite people ever, besides my own bandmates. And we've had a lot of conversations about what time, like kind of what it feels like sometimes to feel like you're the outsider in a scene. Um, we both talk a lot about mental health. Like as bands, we're very close and talk a lot to each other about things we're worried about, things we're scared of, but things that motivate us and keep us going. And we both have that mentality of like, if I ever have the opportunity to like raise you guys up, I'm going to do it because I love and care about you so much. And I just adore all of them, and their music is insanely catchy. It's like songs I wish I had written, and I'm so lucky. We're so lucky to count them among our friends, and just like we bonded over like a weekender together, and I think we just like all fell in love with each other, and we're just like these people are people that I want in my life like for the rest of my life.
That's awesome.
And that's what to
And
me community is.
I tell people all the time, rising tide raises all ships, man. Rising tide raises all ships. So if I'm doing better and you're somehow connected with me, you're doing better. Like, and if you're doing better, I'm gonna cheer you on. There's a lot of, I don't know. I think especially in the social media era and things like that, everything's a competition. Everyone is worried about their spot and whatever. And I'm not that kind of guy personally. I'm like, there's a whole big world out there. There's plenty out for both of us to succeed or all of us to succeed. And so I love that you're finding that right now in Milwaukee and Chicago scene and stuff like that. I want to ask you a question that I'm surprised I've never asked you off camera, but looking at like the timeline, Gold Steps is a neck deep reference, right? Or am I wrong on that?
10,000%. That
Okay.
name was actually picked out before we even created Gold Steps. Like Zach and I, we were driving around. I was riding shotgun with my hair undone in the front seat of his car. And we were jamming Life's Not Out to Get You, and Gold Steps, the song came on, and I was like, this song is everything I've needed to hear like my whole life. I needed somebody to tell me that, hey, shit's gonna be tough sometimes, but don't give up because you're this close. And all of those things that don't break you will make you into that next better person that you're meant to be. So I've always tried to use that as like a literally our name is taken from this song that is about not discounting yourself, believing in yourself, and having the confidence to get past whatever is stressing you or holding you back right now. So sometimes it kicks me in the ass a little because I'm like, oh, I literally named our band after this song. I should remember it more. But Zach and I were like, oh, we should set that aside for a side project. And then when shit hit the fan with the other band, we were like, I guess it's time to start really going for gold steps.
Yeah. That's a good reminder though. Like tattooing, it's almost like tattooing something on your arm. Like every time you take your gear out, you're like, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be. Like this is what I'm trying to be. Um,
Every
what
TikTok that gets throttled.
every TikTok that gets throttled is it's a gold steps TikTok though. In that spirit, like I really struggle even as like, a guy who talks about like emo and stuff on the internet. I really struggle with like the minutia sometimes of how people see themselves in genre and things like that. You guys for me are like very firmly in that, like I would call easy core. You have like some of the guitars, sometimes the breakdowns, there's some hardcore elements, but you're obviously very pop and pop punk. Um, so what influences did you guys bring either starting with Gold Steps or as you're writing now? Yeah, what is your musical family tree, I guess?
Yeah. Well, when we started Gold Steps, I think the original intention was to be like a female fronted Newfound Glory, like
Easy
take
core,
Paramore and
exactly, yes.
Newfound Glory and put them together. I grew up like loving, 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 loving Hit the Lights, Fall Out Boy,
Yep.
Paramore, The Starting Line. Motion City soundtrack has been one of my
Mm.
biggest influences that you'll probably never actually hear in our music because it just does not sound at all like Motion City, but one of the most influential bands to me. I grew up listening to Michelle Branch and Avril Lavigne.
Mm.
Zach was in screamo bands growing up, so he brings a lot of that like chunky, heavy stuff. He could never do like the whatever that the shredding kind of stuff is. He's more of a rhythm section guy. Honestly, he started out playing bass, and then when we started Gold Steps, he was already lead guitar for the other band, so he just kind of stayed there. Um, our bassist, Ryan, is influenced by all sorts of things. He loves like more indie rock, more like the 1975 kind of style, like synthy, softer stuff. And then he also grew up listening to like Rufio and Punchline and
We're like doing a who's
oh
who now. I love this list. Yeah.
yeah, Get Up Kids was a big influence from Blink 182 for all of us. Like we
Of-
all loved Blink 182 growing up. And we've covered them a lot recently. And then our drummer John is more into like almost like the metal adjacent, like heavy rock stuff. Like he listens to everything from what we call divorced dad rock to like August Burns Red is his favorite band. And I think you can hear some of that influence in his drums. And then he listens to, like Knuckle Puck. We're all influenced by them, the Wonder Years. So I would say we kind of run the entire gamut from like the poppiest of pop punk that you can get to, like pop rock, all the way over to, like the really, really heavy stuff. Chunk No Captain Chunk, 4 Year Strong,
mm.
all of those were like influences when we first started the band. So I think that's where a lot of that easy core comes from.
It's funny that you mentioned that. We've been having a lot of conversations about, I guess, how many people like around our scene, like towards the edges, maybe sometimes are really into like we sometimes call it butt rock, but like the divorced dad rock, the like and the seether and stuff like that. All of us, talking about like school dances where it was awkward. It wouldn't have been for me. I'm old, but like awkwardly playing like "Lips of an Angel" or something like that, and
Oh my
certainly
gosh.
Creed. Creed has had a huge comeback. You couldn't talk about Creed and Nickelback, and now I think nostalgia's come back around. So
It
I think there's
always
a lot more.
does, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot more people that listen to that stuff that that don't want to admit it.
Well, and it's
um,
like you put it on and you're like, haha, I'm being funny and ironic or whatever. But then all of a sudden you're like, this actually vibes like really well.
I was at a Daisy Grenade concert. The opening band did a little clip and it was the Creed clip, "Hold Me Now, I'm 6 feet from the edge" or whatever,
We
and the
covered
crowd, of
that
course, lost
song.
their mind. Oh, you did? That's right. I did
Yeah,
listen to
it's
that.
on
Yeah.
Spotify for those who want to know our take on it.
Yeah, I was rolling back through your guys' covers because I knew you had done a bunch, and I did see that because I was like, "What a pick!" And more relevant now than probably when you recorded it.
Absolutely. I mean, we're always ahead of the curve in a weird way, I feel
That's
like. And then all of a sudden it's like, damn it, we did that like 4 years ago.
I want to talk about where you guys are right now, and just acknowledge, because we were kind of friends, we were kind of going back and forth. You guys, I think, had a bit of a setback. It was a little like a year ago or so. A little bit of a setback. Took some time off. There was some changes with your record label. You went from a record label to going indie, and sort of had to recalibrate. I certainly want to talk about the successes you're having now, but I guess I want to know. I don't remember how long it was exactly, but that 6 months or whatever, last end of last summer, what were you guys doing to sort of recapture the energy after things got, I guess, a little weird or tense? You can tell me how you felt, but it was noticed
Yeah.
as a fan.
Yeah. So we've had a couple of moments where I felt like I needed to take a step back and kind of reset myself and what we were really focusing on with the band. I think probably our biggest flaw as a band is we're constantly changing as people and that bleeds through into what we're doing. I think because we're so open and easy to read because everything's like on my sleeve, on my chest, like you can tell how I'm feeling, you can tell what I'm into. Yeah, it's like I feel like all of that sometimes makes it feel like it's not a cohesive image. I think that's been our biggest struggle is just like who is Gold Steps? And it's like, well, shit, some days I don't know who I am. Like you'd think someday it'll settle in, but it's almost like you feel like you have to pick a character, and that's just not me. I wake up some days wanting to be, you know, witchy Betty, and other days I like wake up and I'm like, I'm business bitch Betty. I got shit to do. Do not get in my fucking way. And I'm like, it's blazer time, bitches. Like, and I'm ready to
I
go. And then other days I'm just like, oh man, I'm just like, I want to spend time with my dog and my family and kind of hide away from social media, but I literally can't. Like, that's my job. So so when the things started to fall apart with Revival, we kind of had a heads up going into early last year. We started feeling like, hey, the label doesn't like reach out to us or talk to us, and it seems
That's a
like,
bad
yeah,
sign.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, maybe it's just the holidays, everybody's got families, whatever. But we kind of like poked our A&R guy, and I was like, so do they not like us anymore? Did we do something? And he was like, there's just a lot of internal conversations happening, which almost always means we're restructuring or something went wrong with financing or things are not going well for either us or them. And we were like, well, I feel like maybe it's us, but whatever, we'll just keep moving on. And then once we kind of learned that they were dissolving quietly and going to be kind of phasing out everything, we were like, okay, so for us as a band, what do we want to do now? And we said, okay, we've learned a lot over these last couple of years, releasing stuff with the label and trying to figure out who we are as a band, especially with we are now in Gold Step's final form. There are four of us in this band. All four of us love each other and care about each other and are like really, really close. And we hadn't had that, I think, our entire lifetime as a band. There was never a moment where it felt like all of us were firing on all cylinders and we all really connected and respected and cared about each other as friends and family instead of just
Mhm.
bandmates. There's always those personality barriers. And right now we don't have any of that. So at the end of last year, I will say is probably when the final nail in the coffin on being like, okay, we have parted ways with our fifth member and we are going to go into writing mode. We're going to write, we're going to demo, we're going to track some stuff. And our goal originally for this year was to get 4 songs out. We fell short on that, and that's okay. We ended up playing a lot more shows than we anticipated. We had a social media post go kind of viral, and that led to a lot of show offers, and we decided to strike while the iron was hot. The music wasn't going anywhere, and we just were ready to go. Like, we love performing. But with that whole set this year, so a lot of people probably were like, holy shit, like this band is always playing. And wait, they're playing a lot of cover sets. And like, what's that about? And to be honest, we were trying to rebuild capital. We no longer had a label financing us. So we had to find the money from somewhere. So if people were paying us considerably more money to perform covers, we took that opportunity and stacked that money away. So now next year, we have some money to be able to go out and finish some more tracks. Not enough, but we're working on that. And more details to come on that soon that we cannot share just yet.
That's fair.
But I'll just say this for 2026, we have a rigid schedule. We re-signed with our very first manager, Eric Jogmaller. So he's with Word is Bond, and he also manages When the Sun Sets, and that's kind of how we reconnected with him. And I said, look, Eric, I know that in the past, we've been kind of all over the place. I want to talk to you. I want to trust your knowledge. And I'm telling you, these are goals that I have. Will you help keep me accountable for these things? And will you keep checking in with me? Because, I'm a grown woman. We're all grown adults in this band. However, we tend to get really like in the weeds sometimes. And sometimes we just need somebody to bring it back to like, hey guys, you're getting way too caught up in this thing. Remember, our goal is this. And this is the date it
Mm.
needs to be completed. So let's not get too crazy about any of this. And just remember that you're on the right track. It helps to have somebody in your corner like that. But next year we have 6 release dates. They are
Yay.
on the calendar, and we are going to hit those milestones because we have a plan, and I feel very prepared for it. I've now in the mode of like not being like, oh shit, we're supposed to release the song in a month. What are we doing? I'm literally in like, not only do I have dates set for releases, I have my date that all my assets need to be together. So my calendar type A organizational business bitch brain is constantly keeping the guys on track of like, great, so now we finished this music video. So exciting. We have to track 2 songs by the end of this year. They're done, they're written. We just need to get together and track them now that we're done playing shows for the year after,
Mm.
the next week. So we are I'm actually really thrilled. We also have set dates for tours. We are getting back out on the road. We are going to make it happen if we have to rent cars the entire way or crash on people's floors. Like, we also have plans on that. But for the first time, we have like our year outlined without being like, well, what the hell are we going to do? It's these are the dates. These are tentative dates that are placeholders, but one of these weekends will become a weekender and it's going to be for this area of the country. And we just were like, we need to get back out and see our people. It's been 3 years since we've toured because of financial setbacks, and we're not going to let that hold us back anymore. We're going to do whatever means
Mm.
necessary to meet these goals. I'm really excited about it.
I do have to ask, bluntly, I guess. It sounds like you took kind of a gut punch. You got back to people that you trusted, kind of a circle of trust thing. You're really locked in on, we're just going to force it essentially. This is the date. We're doing it. We're nose to the grindstone. Before you settled into that kind of mentality with everything you guys went through, did you ever want to cash it in? Like, I have so much respect for people who are adults in music still and trying to balance that out. I mean, I hit a point in my life once again 20 some years ago where it was just like, oh man, I guess it's time to get a haircut and a real job. And there's part of me that wishes I could go back and tell that kid, man up and do it, or just figure it out. What did you ever have those conversations?
There was a moment, I want to say it was like March of last year, so like a year and a half ago, where it wasn't necessarily that I didn't want to continue the band. It was that I made some choices and put some other priorities in front of my relationship with Zach, with my husband
Mm,
and my bandmate. And he there was a point where I'm just being totally honest here, where I thought he was going to leave the
mm,
band and me. If I knew he would, or I would deserve it if he did, because of the way I was acting and just kind of pushing everything aside. I was in a tunnel vision where I was just kind of spiraling because I didn't know what was happening with the band, and I was like trying everything I could to just be like, no, I'm not working hard enough. I have to put my 1,000% in. And you can't really do that without burning out. I mean, before I burned out, I had clearly burned him out on it. And
mm,
it made me difficult to have real honest conversations with, because I would take everything super negatively because I knew I was being kind of damaging to myself, and my own mental health. And he didn't want to watch it happen anymore. And I think at that point, what ended up happening for me was I sat myself down and was like, wow, I got that close to like losing everything.
mm,
This band isn't more important than my marriage. He's somebody I'm going to be with my whole life. However, I don't want to give up either thing, and I don't have to. I just have to be more disciplined with myself on knowing when it's time to put the phone down, or knowing when it's like, okay, it's his birthday weekend. I don't need to post a TikTok today. The band will not die because I didn't post a TikTok. So I think setting boundaries for myself was really helpful. But I think that's also like, I'm a mega planner. And so at the time I was spiraling because we didn't have a plan. We knew the label was falling apart. I didn't know what that meant for us. So I kind of just like took everything and internalized it and was like, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it happen. But I needed to sit with my guys and trust them to like also take some of this on. I think I kind of had drawn into myself, and I do that a lot, where I'm like, I'll just do it because I don't want to burden anybody else. But then I end up becoming a really difficult person to be around. So now with the current lineup, I feel comfortable asking for help. And we had this is going to sound really weird, but as a band, we kind of had a little fight a couple weeks ago. I phrased something that I should not have phrased the way that I did, and it really upset my bassist. It upset Ryan, and I was trying to explain to him, like, no, this is what I meant, and I'm sorry, it came out wrong. And he was upset, understandably. And we were supposed to film a music video that day. and everybody was really upset, and we all kind of were like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this right now. And we all sat there, and I said, I'm really sorry. And you know, I mean that. I 100%, I love you. I care about you. I shouldn't have said what I said in the way that I said it. There was a more delicate way I could have done that. However, we do need to finish this music video. So can we get through it? Can we all look at each other right now and say, I'm sorry. This is more important right now than whatever we're upset about. And we got through that and we went and filmed a music video, which looks awesome, by the way. We did it all by ourselves. Ryan's editing it. Like, it looks, I'm so proud of him and I'm so proud of us. But us getting through that, like, I was so happy. Like, the next day I like woke up and I was like, wow, I don't think we could have ever done that with a different group of people. I don't think we could have all sat there and looked at each other and been like, I'm upset right now, but I know you didn't mean it and I don't want to hold a grudge. And I don't want you to hold a grudge to me. And at the end of the day, what's more important right now is finishing this goal that we all agreed on together. Because if we don't do it today, we are not going to hit our deadline. And we all just were like, you're right. You're right. It's more important right now that we finish this thing. And that's like a really big step, I think, for anybody, especially when you're dealing with a bunch of emotional musicians. Like, creatives, we are so emotional and so in our head. And that was just a really great opportunity for us to be like, all right, this is a challenge. Are we going to overcome it, or are we going to sit in our feelings?
Just within our little network of creators, sometimes we talk about sometimes it gets attention emotional, and who would have guessed that a bunch of kids raised on emo music who are all like ADHD or autistic or just creatives or whatever, who would have thought that we would struggle sometimes to manage our feelings or to not feel things deeply? But I think that's huge because I look at some of the bands that like we listen to. There's a fine line. Like, I know we joke sometimes, like it's the music business, not the music friendship. Like, sometimes you have to make business decisions, like it's time to make the video and things like that. But to create with someone and spend all that time with someone, like, you have to have that family dynamic. Like, at the end of the day, I have, if we're doing that, or in your case, you are doing it, I have to trust you with pretty much everything because I don't want this to fall apart. We have to do this together. We both want this. And so just the ability to, like you said, sit and be like, hey, we hurt feelings. Like, we don't have to be like completely good today, but we both still have this shared goal. And I trust you enough and care about you enough to know that we're going to get today done. And then we can fix the other part, or we could have more conversations about that to rebuild that trust. That's huge. I mean, that's really huge.
It is. And one thing too that I've been trying to like internalize, like, as a person and grow a little bit more, is that I always in my head compliment people and I don't always say it out loud. So I've been
Mm.
trying to be more forward with like, hey, I really appreciate that you did that for me. I like, wow, you fucking killed it tonight. Like, I'm so proud to be your bandmate. And kind of like, because when you don't say it, people don't get it. Like, they can't read your mind. And I think that's also sometimes I can come off cold, unfortunately, is because I'm so in my head. And so being able to take that time to tell somebody, like, hey, we look at what we did tonight. We did that because of you, and because of you, and because of you. And we are a unit, and all four of us are so important to this band. And I think that has gone a long way too, in moments of being like, okay, somebody did something that kind of upset me, but I know they care about me and they probably didn't mean it. So I'm not going to like spiral or crash out over it. It just helps us move forward and know that we do care and appreciate each other.
To take it to just a more positive place and talk about, you guys have rebuilt this band brick by brick. You've come through the trials and things like that. I've been watching once again as a fan, and your last, whatever it's been, 6 months or whatever, I just feel like a lot of incredible opportunities have been happening with you. Starting with, I think that was more spring, summer, but you released some new singles, and you mentioned earlier like Motion City Soundtrack and not feeling like you can hear that influence. But I wanted to talk to you about some of the way that you write lyrics, because you have a very like blunt style sometimes. Like when I heard a narcissist, I was like, who in their right mind, that chorus, "You're a fucking not a narcissist," is so. I mean, we jokingly call you Petty Betty, but like that is so like kind of petty but awesome and like just a punch in the face. So first, rebuilding the band and the new lyrics, also the and I heard you talk about this with somebody else too. Like I'm living rent free inside your mind, you know. That's another one where it's just like there's like taking power back with some of that. What sparked some of the songs that we heard this year, and knowing that you're releasing more in the next year? What was that songwriting like, and was that kind of intentional after what you guys went through to kind of, I don't know, just come back with a vengeance?
There is definitely, I mean, every song I write is inspired by a real feeling or an experience or a person in my life. So that is just to get that out of the way. I have yet, there is a song we have coming out next year that is, I would say, more inspired by a feeling or a memory versus like a current situation or anything like that. Once you hear the song, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's more like nostalgia based. Um, but I feel like I've always been on a journey since our first couple of EPs where it was very much like self introspective, like mental health based, and like, oh, I'm so sad. I'm like, I'm still sad, but I'm not as sad as I used to be. I was growing. And I think it's true. There's a point in your adult life where you all of a sudden realize, like, if I don't stop feeling sorry for myself, like nobody else is feeling sorry for me. So if I want to be a presence when I walk into a room, I have to assert myself. Nobody is going to notice my band if I'm constantly playing like the mousy, like victim. Not that I was victimizing myself, but I was definitely very much like, oh, sad me. I have depression. I have anxiety. And like, I still have those things. But one thing that reframed my mind was hearing, like, yes, you can't control your feelings. Like they are your feelings, they come from your soul, and sometimes they're just out of control. But what you can do is control your reactions and what
Mm,
you do within that feeling or post that feeling. Like I have panic attacks and they fucking suck. But in a weird way, now when they come on, I'm like, I have got this. I just need to do it. I just need to have the panic attack, get out whatever is weighing me down, and I know in 10 or 20 minutes, I'm going to be exhausted. My face is going to be puffy, but I will feel like I've gotten all that ick out and I can go to sleep. And tomorrow morning, I will wake up and feel better and have the motivation to move on from whatever it was that triggered that. Along with that, I have figured out that I don't want to be somebody's doormat. And unfortunately, I still have to learn that lesson every couple of years with some person that I feel bad for, regardless of their life situation, whether it was their decisions that got them there or not. A lot of times it is. And I can't save somebody who doesn't see that there are decisions they've made that have led them to this position. Like, I
mm,
cannot stand being friends with people anymore who never take responsibility for any action of their own. It's always somebody else's fault. Like, I can't do that anymore. And so there were a couple people we parted ways with. This has happened a couple times now. Stay the Same was written about somebody who, well, it's kind of a combination of multiple people. I told them all the song was about somebody else, but it was really about like three people. And I did let one of those people back into my life. And then I was like, "Oh, God, why do I do this to myself?" I let them charm me and think that things were going to be different. And then lo and behold, they have not changed. And where narcissist came from, that actually was inspired more from somebody who I thought respected me as like an equal, even though like, maybe I shouldn't have expected that. But there was a moment where they talked down to me, and I was like, "Oh, you have got to be fucking kidding me. Like, you did not talk to me like that." I felt like the lowest piece of shit that, like,
mm.
it was just, I hate getting yelled at, and I hate getting yelled at from people who are like my own age. Like, you are not my fucking dad. Don't scream at me. Do not talk to me like I'm a child. I will decimate you with words. So that's where narcissist came from. I went to my car and I was like, that fucking person. I am I'm gonna murder them with my words. And then the na 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 narcissist, I was just sitting in my car and I was like, it just came to me like na 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 narcissist. And actually, Alan Day is the reason why there's a fucking in there. I was like, do we really need to have it? And he was like, doesn't it just sound so much more pissed off though? Like, doesn't it get the point across even harder? And I was like, well, okay. Cause like, I adore Paramore and they have almost no curses in any of their songs. So it's like all technically family friendly. But then I was like, once the ship had kind of sailed with some of the other lyrics in there, like once I wrote the lyric self-filleting good guy, I think
Yeah, that
fucking
one.
was I think that was probably even less derogatory, maybe.
Well, and we have a shared history, of course, with some Taylor Swift stuff here, and I think that's one of the things too that I didn't expect when I got deeper into Taylor Swift. I'm like, she drops a well placed like f bomb or well placed curse words or turns of phrase, and it's just sometimes frickin' doesn't do it, you know. Sometimes oh gosh or oh darn, like it's just not the same. And so a well placed curse word really does. And once again, when I heard narcissist, like I said, I'd watched you guys and hadn't heard anything and then dropped that, and I was like, oh, we're we're doing it now. We are not pulling
Yeah.
any punches.
I was just gonna say that that is the most fun lyrically I've ever had writing a song, just being like, and I think Rent Free, you can kind of see the carryover of it a little bit, where it's just like pure sass. But like those lyrics were all on my phone when we walked into the session with Alan, and he like kind of put together like this cool little like that intro, that little thing with the haze or whatever. Um, and like from there, we just like repurposed, like I had pretty much structured the song out and we just made some small changes here and there. Um, but yeah, taking it from just being like na 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 to you're a fucking na 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 na, like that little lead in, just like now it's like I can't picture the song without it. But all of the lyrics were just like, oh, I wanted to do this such a cool music video for it, and we did it. Like we did pretty close to my original idea. But I feel like it all just like fell in line with like being like, that this song is like as it goes on, like they are setting it up that this person is going to be dead by the end of the song.
Well,
Like,
I think I think one of the cooler things about it is when you talk about it, like narcissists want you to feel small. They are important. You are small. And so to almost have that mocking, like almost schoolyard, like, nah, 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 like obviously it's not directly that, but that's the kind of vibe that it gives. I would think that someone who has that kind of narcissistic tendency, like that is very belittling. That's very like, you're not even worth getting angry. Like, I'm going to schoolhouse mock you with this. I talked to Glimmers not that long ago, and they have a song called Back to Hell that has
mm-hmm.
a very similar have a safe trip back to hell and has like like hand wavy kind of thing. And I'm like, that's just so brutal, or like, yeah, like emotionally brutal to just be like, I'm at the point where you don't even bother me anymore. Like you are a mockery, and I'm going to make a mockery of you in song. So that was a beautiful thing. I love that song.
Yeah. And I will say that the person that originally inspired it, like clearly I took the lyrics to like a nth degree. Like the thing that this person had said to me or like made me feel that way was actually very, again, minor in retrospect, but I'm a hot-headed person. So immediately my like first and like my thing, like when it happened, I was like, I have to leave the room because I'm gonna fucking say something and I do not want
Can't take
to
it
this.
back. Yeah.
I cannot take it back. So let me just go to my car and I'm gonna like scream into the car seat for a couple minutes or whatever. But that's where that song came from, and that person and I have like long made up. Like it's fine. We are actually pretty, I would say, pretty solid ground, which is great. Rent Free is one that it's the kiss off that I always wanted to write, and that person will never be in my life again. So I'm really stoked about that.
So after all that new energy, new experiences, this sort of tail end of the year here, I feel like you've had. It's got to be some of the biggest opportunities you've had as a band. You just recently opened for the Used, which is incredible. You're doing some dates with Hit the Lights. I'm very excited. One of my buddies, Ricky from the network, has been on one of those shows with you. We talked about that. So what's this run been like? What was opening for the Used like? How was that audience? Let's start there. How was the audience with the Used? You guys are two very different bands, but maybe captured some of the same energy. How was that audience?
That was wild to me because I thought the same thing as you, like, "Oh, of course I grew up listening to The Used, I've seen them a bunch of times." Like, I saw them at that venue for the first time in, like, 2005. So I had yeah, I was like, "This is like killing 2 birds with 1 stone," opening for a band that I've admired for a very long time and playing this historic venue that is, like, legitimately the biggest rock venue in Milwaukee. So that was
Mm,
amazing. And it just kinda came out of nowhere. We had, sent our press kit over to the talent buyer at the rave, and we were like, "Hey, so, like, Hot Milk's coming through in September. If they're looking for local talent, we would love to be considered." And they were like, "Yeah, sure, like, we'll let you know." Never heard anything. And then randomly in October, we got a text message. No, a text message, an email. I opened it on my phone, like, I saw it, and I was like, "This is fake, right?" And then I read it again, and I was like, "This isn't fake," and I dropped my phone. And my coworker was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "We're gonna open for The Used at the rave." And he was like, "Shut up." And I was like, "No, it's real. I think it's real." And then I was, like, so stoked and just, like, freaked out. And then I texted the band and I was like, "I'm already saying yes, but, like, just so you guys know, we're doing this,
I'll sh-
okay?"
I'll show up by myself. I'll rent a new band. I don't care. I'm gonna be there. No.
We have a calendar, and I'm always very much like the mom of the calendar of being like, "Hey guys, if there's anything new this month, just so you know, because
Yeah.
I'm making plans for us to do content and recording and stuff like that." So we keep it pretty up to date. So I already precursory looked at, and I was like, "Okay, everybody's free. Like, we should. This is like a shoe in." And then, playing it was like that's the biggest captive audience we've ever played for. Like, we've played Warped Tour before, we've played South by Southwest, we've played, other bigger festivals, but having a captive audience where, like, everybody in that room is staring at the stage because The Used is coming on next.
Yeah, right.
But it was our chance to shine, and we met a lot of new people. There were a few people that were fans of us that were singing in the crowd, and that was really cool. But it was really crazy to, like, look out there and, like, I try to make as much eye contact with people as I can and just, like, being like, "Wow, this is, like, the first time I feel like I'm actually getting lost in, like, how many people are out here. I gotta remember where I am and not, like, fall off the stage or anything." But it was crazy, and it was over so fast. Like, it's
Right.
almost like when they say, like, you black out, it was kinda like that. Like, I remember moments of, like, looking at people, but I don't remember what it really, like, felt like other than just being like, "Holy shit, I'm opening for The Used at the rave, and I'm doing it with 3 people that are the best musicians I've ever been surrounded by, and I just cannot believe we did this together. Like, we did this, you guys. Like, this is insane." It was very heartwarming. We had a lot of high fives and hugs and shots of whiskey before and after, but it was awesome. And then Hit the Lights, like, that is a band that has meant so much to me. Like,
Ohio boys
they're
originally.
oh, yeah, Lima, Ohio. And so
Oh,
Nick
what did you just? No, wait, pause. What
he
did you
said
say?
Lima. I thought
He
oh, is
said
it
Lima?
Lima?
It's
Is it Lima?
Lima.
Oh, like the
Yeah,
bean?
like the bean.
I guess Nick and I have never talked about how to pronounce it.
How to
All right,
pronounce Lima,
Lima.
Ohio.
Lima, Ohio.
That's all right. That's
But
funny.
they, that band, like, so I got into them in, like, 2005, 2006, whenever their very first EP came out. That EP and Skip School Start Fights is an album that got me through the worst relationship I've ever been in. There were that was probably the worst, one of the lowest lows of my entire life. And the only thing that got me through those horrible weeks and months of just like wanting to die was listening to Skip School Start Fights and Brand New Eyes by Paramore.
Mm,
Those two albums, like, were all I listened to, I think, for months. Like, if I didn't have those albums, like, I felt so alone. And I really loved Nick's voice. And so, like, even though, like, a lot of people, like, are so fussy about which singer is their favorite, and I'm like, who cares? But, like, it's the songs. It's the songs.
sure.
And so Nick unknowingly, like, sang me through a really hard time in my life. And then that when we got the opportunity to work with him, I was like, I am so excited and so scared. Like, what if he thinks I suck? What if he doesn't think we're talented and doesn't want to work with us? And within like 5 minutes of meeting him, he was just so good at setting us at ease, and then once we started, like, sitting down to write, it's almost like he knows what I'm trying to say, and he is able to frame it in a way that makes better sense than what actually comes out of my mouth because 'cause I'm a babbler. But all he did was, like, sit down with me and be like, "What's going on in your life? What do you
Mm.
want to write about, and what do you wanna say about those things? Let's craft that into a meaningful song." And once we get started, it just comes together so well. And that was, like, my first experience writing with him, and it's not a secret that, like, we have stayed very close since then, even though we don't, like, live anywhere close to each other, but, like, we're always, like, in contact. Like, sometimes time goes by like any other friendship, but we send, like, each other these shittiest, grossest memes of all time and videos on Instagram and stuff, and it's just, like, he's just, like, such a good person and somebody that we just connect with really well. And so, like, when we wrote "Stay the Same," that was a song that I just immediately, like, I was like, "I think it's too before its time. Nobody's gonna get it. Nobody's writing anything that sounds like this." And we didn't even end up releasing it for, like, 2 years?
Oh,
When did we
wow.
release it? No. So we wrote that song in February of 2018, and it didn't come out till
Oh,
January of 2022.
I was gonna say, I think that was a 2022. Yeah, I was gonna pull
So
up your
4
Spotify here.
years. I thought that song was
That's
never gonna get released, especially after the pandemic and everything, like, so then it comes out, and it immediately becomes, like, our most listened to song. Like, it just shoots
yeah.
up there. It's far and away, like, it's the next closest song is, like, has less than half the streams. Like, it's
Wow.
crazy. That song just, like, hits, and at the time, like, Zach will even admit, he was like, "I didn't like it. I didn't think anybody would care for it. It's
Well,
just too out there." And
well,
it's
to
really
your
not
point.
that out there.
So to your point, I was just talking to some folks about guys like well, MGK, Huddy, Swaco, like stuff like that. Like our scene, like writing that in 2018, like our scene was not back in that way until I feel like 2021, 2022, really. Like post pandemic, I feel like the resurgence really kind of picked up. So I'm just trying to imagine if someone had dropped Stay the Same on me I mean, I probably personally would have loved it, but there was not a frame of reference because the only people that even had started to do that we needed, like, I don't know, I have a weird relationship with like MGK and Huddy and stuff like that, but you needed someone who had been like accepted into a space to be like, hey, remember pop punk? Remember, like, it almost like had to be like a permission thing. And then I feel like the
Yeah.
floodgates opened back up. And so, yeah, talk about being ahead of your time. That you're living it if that song was 4 years old. My goodness.
Yeah, and what was crazy too is, like, when we wrote it, I was like, "Why does it kinda sound like Limp Bizkit?" But in a good way? I was like, "It's like if Limp Bizkit and Mariah Carey, like, or, like, somebody in that vocal kind of style, like, because it's so high, and now it's not even close to the highest song we have, like, I can do that song in my sleep now, I feel like, but at the time, I was like, how am I gonna sing this live, Nick? What the fuck? Why did you do this to me?" And he's like, "You're fine, you've got this." But singing in the studio is so different.
Have to go back now and listen for the Limp Biscuit vibes.
It's just that dun, dun, dun,
Dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
yeah.
dun, 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 dun. It's just that very, like, fuck you in your face kind of vibe. And, like, pop punk had for a while gone, like, the sad boy kinda emo, and
Mm-hmm.
right now it's like half the genre's doing yelly, hot mulligan with noodly little diddlies, like, kinda like Belmont, I feel like was kind of the prototype for a lot of that. And then the other half of it now is going back to complete nostalgia, like core, like The Paradox and Super Sometimes, like those bands.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's bands like us that are like, no, I don't know what we are because so many people tell me we're not pop punk, and I'm like, well, what the hell are we then? Because
I'm
we're not
sticking with that.
pop pop, like
No,
we're not hard rock, like, we're not even alt rock, I don't feel like, because we don't sound like the Foo Fighters either, which is
right.
what I think of when people say alternative rock. I'm like, "Oh,
I'll,
Foo Fighters." That's not us, you know? Like, so, like, pop rock or pop punk is it.
I'm sticking with that easy core. It's an underutilized word, the easy core. When you said newfound glory, it's an influence earlier. I was like, yes, 100%. I see that, 100%. So that's good. Since you mentioned the pop and things like that. I want to talk about, well, one, how we connected, but some of the things that you also do. You've already mentioned it, to fund the band and to keep your music inspiration going. You guys have released quite a few covers. I went back and listened to. I did see the Creed one, but "Down" by Blink-182, of course,
Hmm.
my girl Taylor Swift, and "Blank Space," which is of course a personal favorite. But you also sometimes play out as a cover band. I
Hmm.
didn't know, how you still doing a lot of those dates, or was that like purely out of necessity? And I just interviewed a band who basically funds their originals project by being a full-time cover band. And we were talking about, basically, they don't necessarily always play the scene they remember. They're playing the scene that the guy who randomly shows up at the bar remembers. So a lot of like radio hits and stuff like that. And I
Hmm.
just wanted to know, when you guys have to do that. Obviously, you love the music and things like that. I don't want to denigrate and be like, "Oh, we're just cashing a check." But is that more, it helps fund, I'm a full-time musician? Is that we love, I know you specifically go out and do Paramore. We just love Paramore so much that we want to tribute this. What brought that on, including the like Spotify covers and things like that?
So the Spotify covers started because we got asked to be on a compilation put together by Pacific Ridge Records. So our first cover that we ever did was "Rum is for Drinking, Not for Burning,"
Oh
originally
yeah,
by
I remember
Census
that.
Fail. Yeah,
Yep,
so it was
I
a
remember that
tribute
one
to
too.
Census Fail. And so we did that one. And then they approached us again right before the pandemic to do a New Found Glory one. So we were supposed to do All Downhill from Here. It's actually recorded. Um, we never got a mix back though, because unfortunately, the producer that was mixing it, his uncle died from COVID. And
Mm.
so we were like, you know what? This is a sign, I think, from the universe that we all just need to take a step back and focus on our families. And I mean, the compilation, if it comes together, I'm happy for the other artists who could make it work, but we just couldn't, unfortunately. So we had to step back. But I still have the demo somewhere around here. And then as far as Paramore goes, that was we had been asked to do Paramore cover sets for like emo nights down in Texas. And at first I was like, no, because we already get the Paramore comparison enough. And I'm trying to like not drive home that we're like, oh God, we're a female fronted band. Like, of course
You
they
gotta
want to
be
be
Paramore, of
Paramore.
course. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, I mean, maybe I was being a little bratty about it, but I was like, hey, you know who actually like I am even more like influenced by is Patrick Stump. Can we do Fall Out Boy? So we did that a few times. But people kept being like, "Are you sure you won't do Paramore? You sure?" And I was like, "Okay, guys, if we don't
Are you
do this,
are
somebody
you
else is
aware that
gonna do
you're a
it."
girl? No, right? That's,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
and I love Paramore,
No.
but for a while it was almost like taboo to admit you liked Haley Williams or Paramore because it was like, "Oh, of course you do because you're a singer I'm in pop punk band. You just want to be Paramore."
I've dramatically underestimated how, until it was like really explained to me, how women in music right now, like if you're in rock music, you're just like, oh, you're Haley Williams, like you're trying to do Haley Williams. It's like there's
Mhm.
so many different versions of music. Like why does it have to be Haley Williams?
I think the thing that most irritates me about it is you just want to be her.
Yeah,
Motherfucker, I bet you want to fuck her. So shut up.
yeah.
First of all, I know I've even watched the guys in my like office at work. Like they don't listen to my band, but they put on, something new that Haley did, or like they'll throw on Old Paramore and they're just like, Haley Williams. And it's like, okay, but I can't cite her as an influence. Like, at least, like, I think
Right.
of her as more than a hot chick. Like, yes, she's talented. And of course, she's influential because she paved the way for us. But that doesn't mean I want to be exactly who Haley Williams is. Because
Sure.
I don't like write like she does. I don't even feel like my voice sounds as much like her as it does like other people. Like, I just don't see that. And the only aspect in which I've wanted to be like Paramore is I've wanted to be fucking accepted and appreciated for the work that I do. Like there was even a guy on a TikTok a couple days ago that was like, "But we already have Paramore and Avril Lavigne." And then I was like, "Yeah, and now you have Gold Steps too." Because I wasn't aware there was a quota that was filled. I wasn't
Yeah.
aware that there could only be one female fronted band. I
What a reductionist opinion that is.
and I think that's why it's not getting compared to her. Like, God, please flatter me.
Yeah, right.
Like I would love to be compared to her, like, wow, your voice is so strong and powerful. It reminds me of Haley Williams. That's the way to compliment somebody, not like, yeah, you guys are like a dollar store Paramore.
That's so
Okay,
dumb.
cool. So how about every other band that sounds
Well,
like another band?
what I was going to say, and I can live into this and I'll own this. Like, people say that, oh, we already have a Paramore, we already have an Avril. Yeah, we also got 50 whiny white guys. Like, you don't seem to mind that there's all those. Like, I was just another one at one point. Like,
I
nobody
literally
was.
can't tell some of these bands apart. They
Yeah,
and I mean, so sorry dudes, but like it kind of sucks when it's like if there were 15 white female fronted bands, like you really can't tell any of them apart, but you can tell all 8,000
yeah,
Midwest
right.
emo boy bands apart. Like
Yeah.
I that's not my problem actually. And also it's just a weird way to look at life. Like do you go around and tell like oh god, what's that band that's literally made an entire living off of ripping off like Leonard Skinner or something? Isn't there like a
Oh,
band?
are you talking about? Oh, I can't think. Are you talking about the one that rips off Led Zeppelin? That's the one I'm thinking of.
That's what it is.
The
Sorry, Led Zeppelin.
Greta Van
Leonard
Fleet.
Skinner.
Greta Van
Greta
Fleet.
Van
Yeah.
Fleet. Like, okay, I mean, and like that's the thing. It hasn't hurt their success at all, but everyone's like, well, this is clearly just kind of a Led Zeppelin tribute in a way. A roundabout way, but it is. And it's like, I never, like, yeah, I hear people talking about it, but it's almost like, oh, it's their thing and it's kind of funny. So we play into it. But just because I happen to have boobs and a vagina, I'm clearly trying to just crawl into Haley Williams' skin.
Well, and
Watch out, girl.
one, I'm gonna get in my historical standpoint here. It also just like deletes so many like strong women in the scene. Like, I think of like, I actually did an interview with Glimmers, and they said that Haley was asked about this one time, and Haley said when she was coming up, everyone was just like, "Oh, you're just a dime store Gwen Stefani." So they were doing it to her first of all,
Oh,
but
yikes.
I'm thinking of like, I'm thinking of Brody from the Distillers and stuff like that. Like, there were great women in punk, there were great women in the scene, and today there are so many great women. I think most of the music I listen to anymore is female fronted or women forward, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, partially because like we kept the gate up so long that it feels like a lot of those bands are the ones that have something new to say, you know? Um, I love a lot of bands, obviously, but it's like I've heard my suburban middle class white guy from the I've heard that guy. I've been that guy. Hearing narcissist and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that's a new perspective for me. And so I just think that's crazy. And like, you're the second interview I've done that really hammered home how reductionist and small people can be about that. And it annoys me.
Right.
Stop it. Stop it. No.
And it could be flattering. That's the thing. Like, the thing is, you can tell the intention behind it when somebody makes that comment. Like, Maggie and I have talked about this before, Maggie from Glimmers. Like, you know what they're trying to say. And then they'll come back and be like, oh, well, I didn't put the negative connotation on it. You did. And it's like, I okay, you're just backtracking now because I called you out and you didn't expect to get called out. And that's the thing. It is flattering to be compared to Paramore. Of course it is. But when they're saying it, you can tell. When a woman says it to me, I can tell it's flattering. When a man
Right.
says it to me, there's a certain way they say it. And that's not every man, not all men, but the vast majority of these
No.
fucking dudes on TikTok who, of course, their accounts are always private, or there's like 8
Right.
pictures of them fishing or of somebody else's cool truck or whatever. Like, it's just that, they're trying to get under your skin. So now I always just try to reply with, like, thanks. If it's not for you, thanks for engaging, because now more people
Right.
will see it.
100%. That's one of the best ways to do it. Like, I'll keep arguing with you in the comments, man. It's driving up the engagement on this. Like, let's
And
go.
I did start leaning into it too. Like I realized at one point, so after Glimmers put out Haley or now it's Jaded.
Yeah,
Um
jaded.
After they put out Jaded, I kind of thought like, all right, so what if we were to like spin this on its head and just really lean into it? Like, I'm clearly influenced by Paramore. Go ahead and call it out. Please engage. Please try and troll me. because like I said, that's going to lead to more engagement. And I felt at first I was very nervous because so I'm in the video for Jaded, I think. We had all sent in like little
Yeah.
clips
The little
and
the little handheld note thing. Yeah.
when I was still going by Liz instead of Betty. But I remember like when they were putting it out, I remember it getting posted on the Paramore subreddit. And I remember being really nervous about what I was going to read under it because I was like, I know what Maggie intended with this song, and I don't think people should take it the wrong way. But of course, people are. And oh my gosh, Paramore stans are scary. Like they are so protective of them. And like I've had people come into my inbox and be like, "Stop using Paramore's name to get ahead." And I'm like,
Oh, like
"It's
when
a
you do the
free
for fans
country."
of, like, yeah.
Yeah, or like this band was raised on Paramore and Blink 182. Like I
That's just a
borrowed that from
fact.
a band called Rose Colored World. And it's true. It is true. Like, we're influenced by them. But then when people are like, stop using Haley's name to get your band ahead. Bro, are you for fucking real right now? Like, I'm just saying that if you like this band, you probably like us. And if you're just
Yeah.
so blinded to like not like, okay, there's a guy in Florida. He's like a stalker, like a paramour. He's obsessed, like in a really creepy way. And he has commented on our stuff before about how, like, I saw you guys cover Paramore in Florida and like, you should just play your own music or something like that. And I was like, bro, you were in the front row and you were so close to me. I was scared you were going to like grab me. Like, chill the fuck out. I know you had a good time because you sang every word. So what are you doing? Dude, people are
Well,
so weird. It doesn't bother me as much as it used to, but the thing that bothers me is people look at it as though because we've had Paramore or Avril or Hey Monday or whatever, is that there's no room for all these new bands. And it's like the breadth of talent that is out there, like you commented on how many wonderful, incredibly talented, amazing women that I have now to look at as my peers. And, like, I used to be worried that, like, we'd only get put on lineups with female-fronted bands before, and now I'm like, those are my favorite bills because I know
mhm.
that there's somebody in that room that I can connect with and talk to and get tips from because they're like me. People are drawn to, things that are similar to them, and for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm encountering more bills where there are badass women and that I'm like, "I wanna be your friend, I love you. Where did you get your shoes?" Will you take a shot with me, please?
Some of my favorite songs this year, I mean, I think of like people who had breakout years, Daisy Grenade, Taylor Acorn, Glimmers, obviously I love, and you guys are doing great stuff. And like I said, it's good to hear voices that are coming from a different perspective than stuff I understand that the scene's having a resurgence, but it doesn't mean we have to just put out the same stuff we were 20 years ago, you know?
No.
There's room for all of it. I want to take you into a segment that I call Hot Topics. I joke I called it this because you can't have an emo podcast without a segment called Hot Topics. And you already addressed it kind of, but I want to just give you a chance to expand. I want to talk about like work-life balance because you've already said you're 10 years into this project. It impacted your friendships, your relationships. It impacted your marriage. And I also know you, and you've already said it. When you're a grinder. I think that's why when some stuff was happening, like you did, you had to kind of Gold Steps disappeared from social media and stuff for a while. Like, and I feel like you had
Mhm.
to because you don't do anything half-assed. Like if we're doing it, we're doing it. And it was time to focus on something else. How are you maintaining? We talked about, you have a real job, a grown-up job. How are you maintaining that work-life balance? How are you maintaining the grind? What's that look like? And how do you keep yourself from crossing over into spending too much time on the project, but also not feeling like, I'm wasting opportunity or I'm not trying hard. Like that's so hard. It really is.
One thing that has really helped me, one is that Zach, I have given him permission to be like, hey, if I am ever getting too close to that edge again, can you just like sit me down and be like, Remember you said this, that I could do this. You need to take a break."
Mm,
Because it's when I'm good on it, I'm positive and I'm happy and I'll be like, I won't get so in my feelings about stuff. I'll be like, oh, well, that happened. It either did or didn't go the way I wanted it to, but moving along. Um, But if I'm not letting it go and I'm sitting with it and I'm letting it like eat away at my like heart and my brain, he has permission to be like, I think maybe we need to skip a day of social media today. Or I think that we need to take a break. Let's go watch a movie, or like, let's put the phone down. Or, you know what? Why don't we table this and deal with it tomorrow and turn your brain off? And I don't turn my brain off. I am a very big scheduler. I am I have OCD, and it helps me in ways where this is my phone, and this is all of the things I have listed out daily. I have a daily like schedule.
Wow.
And I plan
Wow.
it out like not hour to hour, but like segments of my day. So like there's an AM gym section that mostly gets skipped because I usually want to stay and sleep in. So I skip, that's like a lofty goal. And then I have my work schedule. And then during my work schedule, I put little bullet points of like, don't forget to do this, pay this bill. Don't forget that this collab post is coming out today. So double check for it. Make sure you accept the invite or send out invites to this show that's coming up. And then I'll have my gym time, which is always after work, unless I have an appointment or something. And then while I'm at the gym, I have a list of things that I'm like, oh, don't forget to research this, or don't forget to answer all your comments or
Wait, while
whatever.
you're
And
at
then
the
I have,
gym? While you're
oh,
at the
I am
gym?
so productive at the gym. That's where my anxiety goes to be organized, is all of my little brain thoughts up here. So instead of putting that on Zach and like verbal, like word vomiting all of my stupid little thoughts, I take them and I put them in notes and categories and things and timelines. So like I'm a big calendar, I have all that stuff. So I basically just maintain a very specific routine. If I skip the gym for 2 days, I'm unbearable
Uh,
to be around because that's my brain time. That's my get all your anxiety out onto the page. Do all that. Sometimes I wish it was lyric writing, but it's literally just me like organizing the next few weeks of my life. I'll be like, oh, that's right. Remember to check back in on we were booking this date. Did we get that hold confirmed, or do we still need an opener for this date? So I do all of that. And then I come home, I have a meal plan. So I like plan out what I'm making for dinner so that it's less. I basically use that time to take the mental load away so that I can like plan, and then it takes that mental weight off of me. So I go home like, what was I making for dinner tonight? This. Oh, that's the second option because I forgot to take the chicken out of the freezer last night. And that's
yep.
boring adult stuff, but it helps keep me sane. So that's how I keep on top of everything. I have a social media, like every day I have 4 social media things that I keep track of. I have an Instagram post that's optional. It's usually reserved for like show announcements, collab posts with like another band if we have a feature coming out, or like something else that's like important this week, or like somebody's birthday. I need to do their birthday post, or it's, our band anniversary or whatever. So I do those like 4 times a weekish. And then every day I have a reel and a TikTok that sometimes I've planned out, or at least I pick what song I want to focus on, because right now we don't have anything new. So I'm just kind of bouncing around. So I've got, yeah, Instagram post, Instagram reel, TikTok, and then, stories. And the stories every day, the goal is to post all of our upcoming shows and tag all the bands in them and tag all of our members so that they can share it on their page. Sometimes I
I'm
wish people could
stressed.
come inside my brain.
I'm stressed, Betty. I'm stressed.
I give people anxiety. I am a walking anxiety. That is who I am as a person. I am walking obsessive compulsive. I'm a weird data person. I love spreadsheets. So many spreadsheets. I also like I use a calculator a lot, but I do lots of things with numbers. Like, ooh, if I want to get to this goal of how many followers, how many do I need to gain each day? And then we never reach them, and I'm like, all right, so we're gonna recalibrate.
It is funny because I do feel like, when it comes to like, I don't know, being neuroatypical or whatever, like I do feel like I'm weirdly like a different side of the same coin, but I am not that side of the coin. But like you mentioned,
Uh,
like the word vomiting or like throwing a lot out, like if my wife and I have something like very serious to talk about, like I will come in and I have already thought of. I've had the conversation with her 6 times before we even get there, so I'm like, and we got to the point where it was like next time there's something big, I'm going to write you a big long email and you can read it at your pace and process all the information. Because yeah, my processing is just different than other people's. And so
Well,
your fascination with lists and things, I'm like, I can see how that would be helpful, but I'm also not that organized,
so
Betty.
now you know why I admire Taylor Swift a lot, though, because like, well, so I really wish I had the kind of like ADHD, like the free spirit creative type. I wish I was that. But I'm the actual opposite of that, and I always get so nervous that people are gonna like find out. Like, I used to get really nervous about people like finding out, like, oh, she's like not cool at all. She's a nerd. Like, she is a freaking dork with a planner and a notes app that's full of anxious, needy lists of stuff. Like, ugh, I, I think the inside of my brain would scare a lot of people, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think I'm just obsessive. And that's
Well,
because I
that
love this band and I want to be able to do all the things. And I love the gym and I love my job. And so I want to do all of it really well. And there's no way I could do that without a plan.
that's once again, different sides of the same coin. Obviously, like I've built a halfway decent social media following, and sometimes people ask me like for advice or what works or whatever. And I'm usually like, "You think I planned this? Like, you think I have any idea?" Just failing upwards. We have actually through our network. There's a post right now. It was like 5 million or something. Just went off viral, huge. It's literally just I screen recorded my TV yesterday and made a snarky comment, and I'm like, how did that work? Like what? So I don't know, man. Like I feel
Social media
like
is so stupid.
it is so stupid. Like I look at you and I'm like, oh, she's planning, she's trying, like she's got good quality content coming out. And I've seen people like struggle and stuff. And then sometimes you just take a picture of something stupid and there it goes. Like, but
Uh,
good on you because I cannot be that organized.
I used to get
But
upset because people called me a tryhard growing up, and I got so upset by that. And then I'm like, wait, don't you like
don't you
knowing
want to
that I
try
put
hard?
all this
Yeah.
effort in? Like, if there's anything, like, I want my fans to know, like, there is nothing I won't do to try and make you happy
I,
because
I,
I
I am
need
earning your
I
listen.
I like, yes, I am earning it. Like, trust me, I think about you guys all the time. Like, I think of ways that I could do things that we can connect. And then I'm like, well, wait, but I don't want to give people the wrong impression that I'm too accessible because I do have a personal life and I do want to keep some
Right.
things private. But at the same time, I'm just like, if you guys knew how much I think about you all day long and how I can think about, like, how can I make the next show better for you guys? How can I perform better for you? What kind of merch can I get that you guys would like more? Like, those are all things that I think about.
like
And
cool camp coffee mugs and barbecue or hot sauce, not barbecue sauce, hot
hot
sauce.
sauce. We have a
I got that
candle,
pick. Yeah,
a brand new
that's
candle that was supposed to come out with our next single, but because we had to push it back, now we just have candles.
just we have a candle. That's awesome.
It's great. I love
No,
them.
that's that's good. All right, I'm gonna take you now into a section I call the Never a Phase Q&A. We said we both came up in the scene. We've got a pretty long history. This is just like what is your scene like? What has it been like? What are your preferences and things like that? So it's been a lot of fun. I want to ask a few questions. The first
Okay.
question, and I'm so glad you said it was one of your influences because I wrote this down before we talked about it. If you had to pick, you only get one. Newfound Glory or Neck Deep? Who wins? I
Newfound
know it
glory.
hurts. Newfound
Newfound
Glory.
glory.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Even with the name of the band, we went with Newfound Glory.
Yeah, it's just because, I mean, God, I've been listening to Newfound Glory since I was like 12.
Newfound Glory is an absolute game-changing band for me. Like I go back and I was more a pop punk kid and became emo and I started looking at like Newfound Glory lyrics and I was like, there were signs.
Oh,
There were
yeah.
signs.
Literally, our first dance at our wedding was to The Story So Far
Oh, that's awesome.
by Newfound
By
Glory, the
Newfound Glory.
acoustic version.
Oh,
And we
that's
have a recorded version on YouTube that we did when we were just a little baby Gold Steps band. You
that's
can see baby
awesome.
Betty and baby Zach and our former guitarist Cam.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
What what is the most chaotic thing that has happened at a Gold Step show?
Chaotic. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, oh, okay. We had the worst show I think we've ever had. we were supposed to be showcasing kind of for Smart Punk.
Okay.
So our friend who was managing us at the time, we put on this, it was an unofficial South by showcase for Smart Punk, and Rivals played it, Forever Came Calling played it. I think In Her Own Words might have played it too. And then a bunch of local Austin bands, and we were one of them. And we were, I think, the second or third band to go on. And we only got, I want to say 20 minutes each band. The band that played right before us, they went over their set time by like 7 or 8 minutes. And then they were taking forever to get off the stage. So everything was running behind. And then, and then we get on stage and we blow one of the tubes in the guitar amp
Oh
head.
no.
So we had to get a different amp and bring it up on stage. So at this point, we're like, okay, shit, I think we can still make it. We have like 15 minutes. Like, we'll just go for it. And then after we get this other amp hooked up and we start playing, somebody else's photographer got up on stage to take photos of us, and they walked on top of a power strip and pulled out of the wall, so we lost bass. And so we ended up playing, I want to say, like 3 songs total, which was like a
For a
total of 8 minutes
showcase.
of
Yeah.
music for a showcase. I was so embarrassed. We all played like shit because we were stressed out and being like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is happening? The
Not only do
guys who
you
had been,
not
yeah,
only do you only play 3 songs, but you probably look like confused, looking around, like trying to piece things back together during the whole thing. Yeah.
it was awful. And then these 2 guys who were from Smart Punk that we had been chatting up and having drinks with and like were super nice, were like, we can't wait for you to see our set. We just basically like fell on our asses, and they did not come find us after that. And our PR person from Big Picture Media, Jen, she had been in town for South by and she was there. And we went outside to all be like, what the fuck just happened? And I sat with her at the table and I'm like, Jen, I think we should quit. That was the worst thing that's ever happened to anybody. And she was like, the songs you did play they were great. Shit happens. Bands have bad shows. You guys just had a string of really bad, horrible things happen in one very small window of time.
We have exchanged before. You are from Wisconsin. You have still work with breweries? Is that still a
Yes,
thing? Or still work
that's
with
where I was
breweries?
this morning.
That's where you were this. And I have a terrible
Yeah.
question because I feel like I am a basic Midwest dad. So my question to you, why don't I like fancy beers? And why do I feel better with like a cheap light? Like why? Like what is it? Like I don't
I
need
think you have
potpourri in my
to,
beer.
yeah, that's totally valid. I mean, I will say that a lot of times now, like I don't drink beer much at all anymore. Like I do when I'm like going out and having it's like a special occasion, like I'm like I want to try this beer in particular. But as we get older and we put weight on more easily, it's a lot easier to be like, well, the vodka sodas I used to drink in college are a lot more enticing. And I'm not going to feel like I just drank like a gallon of motor oil and then have to waddle around in my too tight pants. Like, so I will say that like we drink a lot of hams now. Not because of Winona
Ham.
Fighter, actually, although that did occur to me. We have a bar that we love that we go to church on Sunday. Hopefully that's not offensive to anybody, but we go to what we call church, which is our favorite bar. They do a $5 hams and ham special on Sundays. So for $5, you get a ham sandwich, a hot ham and roll, and you get a tall boy of hams. So we just were like, oh, it's at 11 o'clock on Sundays. Every Sunday when they open, when we can make it, we go to church. And that's our church. Um, so for me, my being together with my family, my friends, and some of my favorite people in the world, that is my church. You actually asked a real question, and my answer to you is that we all have different taste palettes. And some
That's
people
it.
don't like beer at all. And sometimes you don't want something that's going to dry your mouth out. You just want something that's light and crisp and bubbly. I love Diet Coke. It's the thing I drink the most besides water.
Ooh.
So if they made a beer that felt like Diet Coke, I'd probably drink that all the time. And that's what I think of when I grab like a Miller Lite or a Hamm's.
There you go. Finally, if someone wanted to check out Gold Steps, they've never heard Gold Steps before, do you have a song recommendation? Where do they find you on social media? And what are you excited about for this coming year that maybe they should be looking out for?
It's going to be a tough one for the song recommendation because I think you can tell from our Spotify streams that Stay the Same is that girl.
Is
But
that girl?
she's that girl.
She,
But
that's the
Rent-Free
prom queen. Rent-Free.
Rent-Free is coming up. She's homecoming princess. So I would say that Rent-Free is probably more in the direction we'll continue going, but Never Say Never, our song coming out in January, has a breakdown, a very 2000s breakdown. You're welcome.
Like that.
And then for finding us on the internet, we are at Gold Steps Music on Instagram and TikTok, and at Gold Steps MKE for Milwaukee, MKE on Facebook, because we couldn't get the Gold Steps Music URL for some reason. Oh, well. And then what we're excited about is in January, we'll be releasing a new song. So make a little heart on the calendar on January 28th, because that's when our next single comes out. And we're also excited next year to get back out on the road and see some states and cities that we haven't been to in a while, and some new ones. Maybe even
there you
return
go.
to Texas
Hey, there you go.
with our best friends and When the Sun Sets. Oh my gosh, spilling secrets everywhere here.
Wait, I'm getting tea here. This is awesome.
So much tea. But yeah, we're going to have 6 songs out next year. If my OCD planning has anything to do with it. We will have 6 songs.
6 songs for 2026. Awesome.
At least.
Well, I really enjoyed this. Thank you. You opened up. You were, just like you said, you were an open book. We got into some heavy stuff. I appreciate it. It truly never was a phase. But thank you. Once again, this is Betty from Gold Steps. Check them out. This show is a part of the Never a Phase Network, a collective of creators dedicated to keeping the spirit of the scene alive. Our network of creators make social media content, they share music news and reviews, and of course bring you great podcast content. For more information, please visit neveraphasenetwork.com and follow Never a Phase Network on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.